Hello friends, chapter number 6, electromagnetic induction. Now friends, we already discussed about Oersted observation and we know that the moving charges or current produce the magnetic field, right? So we already know that the moving charges or current produce the magnetic field, right? Now what is electromagnetic induction? So friends, you have to remember that the phenomena in which electric current generated by varying the magnetic field is known as electromagnetic induction, right? So friends, you have to remember this definition. What is electromagnetic induction? So the phenomena in which electric current is generated by varying the magnetic field is known as electromagnetic induction. So here the electric current is generated by varying the magnetic field, right? So if we can able to change the, or we can say if we can able to varying the magnetic field, or we can say magnetic field lines, or you can say flux, then we can able to generate electric current, right? We already discussed about this magnetic field lines and magnetic flux, right? So friends, if we can able to vary the magnetic field, so by varying this magnetic field we can able to generate the current. Now we discuss some experiment of Faraday and Henry. So the experiment of Faraday and Henry. So the experiments of Faraday and Henry. So we discuss about some experiment. So first of all, experiment number 1. So here in this experiment, the circular coil is connected to the galvanometer. Now friends, we already know the use of galvanometer, right? Galvanometer is used to detect the current, right? If the needle of the galvanometer shows the deflection, so we can say that there will be a presence of electric current, right? So here the circular coil, or we can say coil, is connected to the galvanometer. Now here we bring the magnet towards the coil, right? So here this magnet always consists the magnetic field lines like this, right? So here we bring this magnet towards the coil. Now if we bring this magnet towards the coil, then we can able to vary the magnetic field. So here we already know that by varying the magnetic field, electric current is generated. So if we bring this magnet towards the coil, then there will be a deflection in the galvanometer. So this deflection shows the presence of electric current. So if we bring this magnet towards the coil, then this galvanometer shows the deflection, so there will be a presence of electric current. Now if we move this magnet away from the coil, away from this coil, so once again we can vary the magnetic field, right? So if we move this magnet away from the coil, then there will be a change in magnetic field lines passing through this coil. So once again this galvanometer shows the deflection, but this deflection is in the opposite direction because we move this magnet away from the coil, right? So if we move this magnet away from the coil, then also galvanometer shows the deflection, but this deflection is in the opposite direction, and the deflection shows the presence of electric current. So if we bring this magnet towards the coil and away from the coil, in both cases the galvanometer shows the deflection. So we can say that there is a presence of electric current, or electric current is generated. But if we kept this magnet stationary, so if we kept this magnet stationary, then this galvanometer doesn't shows any deflection. So there will be a no electric current, right? So if we kept this magnet stationary, so this galvanometer doesn't show any deflection. So if we kept this magnet stationary, then no current generated, right? So this is the first experiment. Now we will discuss about second experiment. In second experiment, two coils are there. First coil is connected to the galvanometer and second coil is connected to the battery, right? We already know that if the current is passing through the current carrying coil, right? Or we already know that the moving charges or current produce magnetic field. So if we connect a battery to the coil, so once again magnetic field is produced. So here in figure 2, a coil is connected to the battery. So here in this case magnetic field is there. Now if we move this coil towards the coil 1, so this is coil 1 and this is coil 2. Now if we move this coil 2 towards the coil 1, so once again magnetic field change and this galvanometer shows the deflection. So there will be a presence of electric current. So if we move this coil 2 towards coil 1, so there will be a deflection in galvanometer. Now if we move this coil 2 away from the coil 1, so once again galvanometer shows the deflection and there will be a presence of electric current. So if we move this coil 2 near to coil 1 or away from coil 1, so in both cases galvanometer shows the deflection. But if both coils are kept stationary, then there will be a no current and there will be a no deflection in galvanometer, right? So in both cases, or we can say in both experiment, if magnet is kept stationary, no current will be there. If coil kept stationary, no current will be there, right? But if there is a motion, so if there is a motion between this coil 1 and coil 2, then galvanometer shows the deflection. So in both cases, if motion will be there, electric current is produced. But if the coil, or we can say magnet kept stationary, then there will be a no current is there. right? So this is about experiment 1 and experiment 2. Now experiment number 3. In experiment number 3, coil 1 is connected to the galvanometer and the coil 2 is connected to battery and tapping key, right? So coil 1 is connected to the galvanometer and coil 2 is connected to battery and tapping key. Now here, if we switch on the tapping key, then this galvanometer shows the deflection. That means there is a presence of electric current. But if we continue tap this tapping switch, then there will be no deflection in galvanometer, right? So if we switch on and off continuously, then galvanometer shows the deflection. But if we continue tap the tapping switch, then there will be no deflection in galvanometer, right? So friends, these are the experiments of Faraday and Henry. So if motion is there, so current will be generated, right? So in experiment 1, if we move magnet or if we move this coil which is connected to the galvanometer, in both cases, if we move the magnet or coil, electric current generated. But if both are kept stationary, then there will be no current. In experiment 2, if we move coil 1 or coil 2, electric current is generated. But if these coils are kept stationary, then there will be no deflection in galvanometer. In experiment number 3, if we switch on the tapping key continuously, then there will be no deflection in galvanometer. But if we switch on the tapping key for small interval of time, then there will be a deflection in galvanometer. That means there will be a presence of electric current, right? So here we can conclude that if we change the direction of motion, then the direction of electric current changes, right? Because here if we move the north pole towards the coil, if the galvanometer shows the right hand side, or we can say clockwise direction, so if we move the north pole away, then it will show the anti-clockwise direction, right? So if we move the magnet right hand side, or we can say away or towards the coil, if the direction of motion changes, then the direction of electric current changes, right? So here we can conclude this point. First point, for generation of current, motion is necessary, right? Here we can conclude this from experiment number 1 and 2. If the direction of motion changes, then the direction of electric current changes. Number 3, if motion increasing, if we continuously increase the motion, then the value of electric current also increase. If the motion decrease, then current decrease, right? So these are the points based on this experiment number 1, experiment number 2 and experiment number 3, right? Now we discuss about magnetic flux, right? Friends, we already discussed about magnetic flux, but once again we revised it. magnetic flux. We know that a plane of area A is placed in uniform magnetic field, then the flux is given by phi is equals to BA cos theta, or you can say phi is equals to vector B dot vector A, right? So if we placed a plane of area A in uniform magnetic field, then magnetic flux phi is equals to BA cos theta, or you can say phi is equals to vector B dot vector A. The unit of magnetic field is Tesla and unit of area meter square. So the unit of magnetic flux is Tesla into meter square. Right? Now, if there is non-uniform magnetic field like this, right? So if there is non-uniform magnetic field and we have to find out magnetic flux. So for this, here we consider a small element of area. Suppose this is dA1, this is dA2, this is dAn, so this is B1, B2, Bn, right? So if there is non-uniform magnetic field and we have to find out flux, then we have to consider a small element of area. So for this, flux is given by phi is equals to, for small element of area dA1, flux will be from phi is equals to dA. For small element of area 1, phi is equals to B1 into dA1. So B1 dot dA1 plus for area 2 B2 dot dA2, for area n Bn dot dAn. So here we take summation of it. So phi is equals to sigma Bi dot dAi, where I is equals to 1 to n. But we know that if there is a small element of area, then we have to take a limit. So phi is equals to limit delta A tends to 0, sigma I is equals to 1 to n Bi dot dAi. So if we take limit of summation, then it will convert it into integration. So phi is equals to integration vector B dot d. Right? So this is the concept of magnetic flux. Right? So we already discussed about magnetic flux, but here once again we quickly revise the concept of it. Right? So if a plane of area is placed in uniform magnetic field, then flux phi dA cos theta, or you can say vector B dot vector A. The unit of magnetic flux Tesla into meter square. If there is non-uniform magnetic field, then we have to consider a small element of area. So total flux for area 1 B1 dot dA1, for area 2 B2 dot dA2, for area n Bn dot dN. So total flux sigma I is equals to 1 to n Bi dot dN. Here the area element is very small, so we have to take limit. So phi is equals to limit delta A tends to 0, sigma I is equals to 1 to n Bi dot dN. So total flux phi is equals to integration vector B dot d. So this is about the magnetic flux, right? So friends, today we discuss the experiments of Faraday and Henry, and at last we discuss the magnetic flux. Okay friends, thank you.